take control of your finances. Gain insights from top industry professionals. Financial topics that matter to you from your go-to resource. This is Right on the Money with your host, Dennis Mattern.
Hello and welcome to Right on the Money, the show that features financial advisors, insurance professionals, and fiduciaries who discuss financial topics that empower you to take control of your finances. I'm your host, Dennis Mattern. We're so glad you've taken time out of your day to spend with us. Now, of course, remember, you can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And in case you've missed us in the past, you can watch full episodes at rightonthemoneyshow.com. Now, today I'm pleased to be joined with my friend, Larry Lerner, owner and operator of Artist Business Management Group. Larry, great to have you here with us today.
Thanks for inviting me back. I always enjoy coming on here.
We love having you here. You're a great friend of the show. And today, for those folks that have never met Larry Lerner, who's Larry Lerner? Tell us about him.
Well, I actually am an accountant by trade, and I actually am a member of probably one of the laziest professions in America, with a bunch of guys that just do the bare minimum. And I really decided that I didn't want that for life. What I wanted was to do something different. I wanted to pioneer something where we do a lot more than just accounting and taxes, so that I could make a difference in people's lives.
Well, let me ask you this. That's interesting. Since you've transitioned a little away from your initial entry into the business world, what got you into accounting?
I actually liked it. I actually was one of the few people that just liked the numbers and liked the taxing situation. I just love the whole structure in America on how taxation works.
So you've done that. You've been an accountant and a CPA for how long?
35 years.
And now you've transitioned more. You've got a great website, and I see that you've transitioned more into working with folks on their retirement money.
Well, yeah, I basically didn't want to die of boredom. So, people laugh at it, but it's actually true. I felt that I needed to do something to make a difference. And it was best, I think one of the defining moments of my career was a few years ago. There was a lady that came in to have her taxes done, and she clearly just wanted her taxes done. Mm-hmm. And here I am doing my thing. My thing is basically, great, this is wonderful where you are today, but where are you going to be 20 years from now? What can I do to help you 20 years from now? And she didn't want it. I said, I'm sorry, but when you come into our office, you're going to get a financial checkup, and we're going to talk about how are you going to live 20 years from now, 30 years from now, because the decisions that we make today will probably make a difference then.
So she just had her head stuck in the sand and wasn't thinking about tomorrow?
Yeah, she's got what's called the H&R Block mechanism. Come in, do your taxes. That's the one thing I never want to hear is, thanks, great tax return, see you next year. I don't want that. I want people to call me throughout the year. I want to be part of their lives and planning their lives so that they're not stuck being a senior citizen that cannot even afford to pick up their prescriptions at the pharmacy. And I see that. I've seen it many times where people just are scraping nickels together to buy their medication. Somebody screwed up, clearly. And I think it was the accountant that didn't advise them 20 or 30 years ago on how to save money or how to protect their assets.
Now, that's a different service model and a different approach than probably, 95% of the CPAs that are out there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what defined my firm, and that's why I'm enjoying it so much, and that's why I've signed on to do this probably for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I would be counting the days until I could retire myself.
That is fantastic. So you've been doing that for years now, and you're located out in Los Angeles, correct?
Los Angeles and San Diego. We have 2 offices.
So in your opinion then, since you are a multiple threat practice, what would you say is the most important work that your practice does?
Preventative maintenance, I think. Basically, sitting down with people and planning out their life and figuring out what can we do. It all comes into, there's a million stories out there, and you could title them, Don't Let This Happen to You. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're a smart guy. You've been in the business a very long time, and I think that you know all the war stories. Yep. And we can prevent. You can't prevent everything, but you can prevent a great deal of these things that go on, and you say, wow, that was not the right move. People didn't save money. they didn't know what to do with their money, or they lost all their money because they just didn't understand where to put their money. And these are the problems that we see. And it's sad. It really is sad out there.
So where does one start? Where does the client process start?
They should start young. And I think that my pet peeve in this industry of being an accountant is the do-it-yourself taxation. You're not going to get advice if you do TurboTax. You're not going to get anything. You can go to H&R Block and get the $12 an hour employee to do your tax return. He doesn't know anything about the future, about retirement, and about how you should plan your life accordingly.
Yeah, and not to disparage them too much, but they are.
Oh, I'll attack them.
In my mind, they're all about volume and just move you on.
See you next year. That's their motto.
See you next year.
See you next year.
Well, one of the things we were talking about off camera a little while ago was the younger generation. And they, of course, millennials would be the term for them.
They're great.
Now. They are a fantastic group of individuals. And you've been working with millennials. How do you approach an age group like that?
Carefully. They're a very educated group of people. They're smart. They're really doing well. They are passionate about what they do. They can get a lot of information off of the internet, but the problem is that nobody is telling them or advising them on what they should do and when they should do it. And I would think that most of them are getting advice from people that are dinosaurs. And there's a way to talk to these people so that they understand what the long-term effects are and why they should take action now instead of later.
Now, you mentioned something earlier that really hit home because I have two 20-somethings in my house. And you mentioned, and I believe the term for it is the latte effect.
That's a great line. I love the latte effect. The actual definition of the latte effect is giving up small things for larger gains. Now, I'm from Los Angeles, and KTLA Morning News is what I just listen to passionately every morning. And newscaster Jessica Holmes, she ran a story a couple of weeks ago, and it was great because it was actually a day after you called me and invited me out here. She ran this story that the millennials are spending more money on coffee than they are in retirement. I said, I hope Dennis wants to talk about that because it's great. And it's true. They go to Starbucks. It's $5, $6 for a cup of coffee. They do this 7 days a week. Okay? How wrong is it? Well, if you can afford it, it's great. But the problem is that they are putting away nothing for their retirement because nobody told them why they should do it. And I think that they don't understand the power of long-term growth and what it will mean to them later.
So what does that conversation look like? How do you start that?
It's great. First of all, you've got these kids that come in and they just got out of college, they start their first job, and they're ready to conquer the world, and they actually don't know what to do. And there's always this feeling of, let me start later. Well, later becomes later and later and later, okay? And here's a prime example of it. Most of the kids that come in, I say, have you got an IRA or a 401k? Well, you expect to hear them say no, but actually a lot of them say, what's that? So they don't even, you don't learn this stuff in school.
They don't even know where to start.
They don't even know where to start. But they're actually getting poor advice from their parents of all people. I would say 8 out of 10 of the millennials that come in to have me do tax work for them are saying, my dad said that I shouldn't start anything for retirement until I've paid off my student loans. Now, have you ever thought about that one?
Now, you know what? Actually, I just nodded. I did probably what millennials do. No, I don't.
Okay, let me give you a prime example of it. Okay, I'm not asking for a lot of money. Let's assume a millennial can come up with $400 a month. They should be able to do that. Okay, if the millennial starts putting away $400 a month at 25 years old, and they're going to pay that $400 a month until they're 65 years old. Okay, and then the concept is that at 70, they're going to start pulling money out of that to live off of retirement. Okay, the 25-year-old that starts is actually going to get $192,000 a year tax-free.
A year?
Yes, a year,
Wow.
from age 70 until age 90, and I can do that for these kids. Now, if the guy starts doing that at age 35, let me show you the difference. It becomes $82,000 per year.
That's a huge difference.
Huge. How does that happen? It's the power of tax-free compound interest. And that extra 10 years, look at what it does for you.
That's an amazing difference.
So why would anybody want to pay off their student loans early when they can start putting away money for retirement? And I don't care where you put it. You can put it in the 401k. You can put it in a Roth. I like Roths, actually. Or you can put it in the traditional IRA. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you do something instead of nothing. Now, the number one objection that I get is, oh, well, what's $192,000 a year going to be worth when I'm 70 years old? More than you've got now.
Yeah, that's very true.
You have to start somewhere.
That is such a true statement. And in fact, let's dive more into that on our next section. So coming up on Right on the Money, Larry and I will discuss debt and how it plays into our retirements. You don't want to miss that. So we'll see you on the other side of the break.